Hello, Aquarius. Thank you very much for tuning into this week's read. For the main part of the read, Art Nouveau Tarot by Matt Myers. Supportive Oracle cards, Queen of the Moon Oracle by Stacy DeMarco. Like there's a lawfulness feel already. I didn't even put out the cards yet. Like a structure, like lawfulness. Like, what do we mean by lawfulness? Like, there's certain things you're not allowed to do in this situation. It's weird that that's already coming in. So, we're dealing with that. Like, that's already coming in, like, really quick. Lawfulness. So, okay. That's it? That's it. Okay. We're heading there. Before we get too far down the road, I really think this is what this is about. Figuring out what the actual laws are. It's almost like when you're going to another country or even like another state, and this is going to sound a little weird, I know. But for example, I live in New York, and where I am anyway, it's legal to take a right on red. I don't know, I think it's fairly close. I don't know if it's Pennsylvania or not. I'm not sure. Or maybe it's New Jersey. I don't know which state it is, but like there's a state that's fairly close that once you're in that state though, right on red is not. It's illegal to do that. So like this might be one of those situations where you currently are or what you're currently used to doing, like the rules, like what you're doing is within the rules, but going into this next situation, something you normally do that is okay where you currently are is now illegal. It's like that's crossing a line that's going to end up in fines. Probably a police officer pulling you over. You know what I'm saying? So let's think of that. This is what we're heading towards is what I'm getting. Because I'm getting the Ten of Pentacles with the darkness. Ten of Pentacles is talking about a very stable situation. You know where you are, you know what you got, you know what you're dealing with. You got it on lock. The darkness is like saying, you know, where you are, it makes sense, but where you're heading into the darkness. But there's some light here. It's almost like part of you might even have those inklings, just kind of like something isn't right. Like it feels like something isn't right here. It's kind of like me driving in this other state, and I don't remember what state it is. Sorry. Like you start noticing, like, how come they're sitting at this red light and then they were just going to turn right anyway? Why didn't they just go? Because in that state, that's illegal. That's why. I didn't realize it. I didn't get in trouble, but I remember somebody afterwards saying, you're not supposed to do that in that state. That's not right. You can't do that there. So it's almost like you have that little, like something's a little different here. Something ain't right. Something just feels a little off. And figuring out what that is. Something's different. Something's foreign to you. And I just feel like you're honestly not going to realize it at first. Just in an honest sense. Like you just don't know. Not to dwell on that, but like for me, like I did not realize that was legal. That was years ago. I mean, I've known it for a while now, for years. That's a thing, but when I was younger, it didn't even occur to me. I just thought driving rules are driving rules. Why would they be different from spot to spot? I didn't get it. So I feel like this is a similar thing. Like you don't even realize that can be a difference at this point. In this, like whatever this is, it's like you're not even realizing it. Unexpected and beauty is coming in the environment. Your energy in this situation, now this could be somebody's personal rules, by the way. Somebody does appreciate you, but they're not expecting you to be a part of this situation at all. That's the unexpected, but they do like you. They're also, this is I don't like this. They're giving you leeway, thinking you're going to figure something out that you're not. It's kind of like me doing right on reds. I probably did it a couple times. I was lucky I didn't get in trouble. And maybe certain people saw me. It's like people letting me getting away with it without telling me that's wrong. You know what I mean? Like, that's not good. Like, it's almost like people are expecting, well, you'll figure it out at some point. I might figure it out with a ticket. Let me know. Like, I don't. Tell me now before I get a ticket. Thank you. Like, tell me now. I'm willing to do that rule. I get it. We can't do that here, then we can't do that. But let me know. Like, if I'm just honestly oblivious, like, tell me. Tell me. This person is doing that, though. They're not telling you. You're crossing lines. You might be breaking rules. They're thinking you're going to figure it out on your own. But if you're not even aware that that's a thing, because that's what's going on here. So they're not setting you up. They're just thinking you're going to figure it out, and that's not fair. They've got the Knight of Staves, where they're just kind of like, they're just supporting the situation and doing with it what they need to. They might even drop hints, but it's not coming through. They've got the Strength with the Fool card here. They're crossed. They might be a little bit intimidated by you, even though they probably would tell you to your face that they're not. And the Fool card is like, again, that's that. They're just thinking you're going to figure it out. The Strength card crossed behind it is like, maybe they don't think they're intimidated by you, but if they're not intimidated by you, why don't they just start that conversation? Just not for nothing. Not for nothing. They're just going along with things. Like, this is a knight. They can say something. They're just not. And I feel like this is how they come across. That's the okay, I get it. That's the truth of this card. They usually do come forward and tell you stuff. If they have something that's not right or something they don't like, they usually say something, and they're not. It's almost like they're picking and choosing their battles, but this isn't even something you would push back. You'd be like, okay, that's good to know. Usually this energy comes right forward and tells you when something isn't on point. Usually they do. I think that's what's going to throw you off. That's going to confuse you in this, because it's kind of like, I don't understand why they just didn't say something. Usually they would. That's another thing that's throwing it off. That makes sense to me why that would throw you off. Kind of like, why, if you usually would say something, why wouldn't you say something here? I'm almost like annoyed for you. I'm like, just like, why don't you tell me? Why don't you just tell me what's off here? Like, come on. Patience and nourishment. They're giving hints. This is really annoying me, because they're dropping hints, like they're expecting you to ask like what's not right, and you think you're figuring it out, but it's just like what's actually happening and what you think is happening are just not matching. And I'm getting the patience and nourishment kind of like, it's almost like they're almost like, you're kind of like, are they just having a minute? Are they just being annoying? Maybe they're just having a bad day. It's almost like you think this person's having a bad day, and you're like, I'll let that slide. They're trying to drop hints about something that's not going right, like you're breaking a rule, you're breaking a law, maybe. And they're dropping hints, and you're not getting it. You're just like, oh, I guess maybe they're just a little off today. Maybe they're just a little cranky today. I'll just let it go. It's not hitting. Boundaries. It's about boundaries. It's about boundaries. It's about law. I feel like it feels like it may not be a legal law, but somebody like it's almost like you're talking to a person, and maybe there's a subject that they're just like, I don't talk about that at work. I don't talk about my children at work, or I don't talk about my finances at work. Some people, they have that relationship rule, like I don't talk about my finances with other people or certain people. I don't talk about politics with certain people. I don't talk about religion with certain people. Like, I just don't, because it causes conflict, and I just don't do that. Okay, but if you don't realize that that's a rule, if they don't tell you that, this is about boundaries. This is literally about boundaries. It goes right along with the whole thing, in my opinion. Now, is that the World or Void? It's the Void. At some point, it's going to come forward with what the boundary is. Because when I'm feeling the masculine, I do feel that these are the rules. This is how it is. You're not supposed to do that. It says right here in plain black and white, you can't take a right on red in this state. If we're going to use me as an analogy. It's like it's like me getting pulled over for that in a state that I didn't even realize that was a thing. And like, I have nothing to stand up against it. I'm like, well, what am I, I didn't know. Well, it's my responsibility to know. It's kind of like that, how does it go? Ignorance of the law does not, or something. Ignorance of the law does not exempt you from the law. I think that's how that goes. Just because I didn't know it was a rule doesn't mean I get to break the rule. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like they're coming forward at some point finally telling you you're breaking the rules and you just can't do that, and they have nothing else to tell you about it. Like there's nowhere else to go with it. There's just like, you can't do that, and you've been doing that, you need to stop doing that, you've been wrong. And that's it. The void is telling me that's it. That's all. It's just pretty much like, here's notice. Somebody is coming forward and telling you can't do that. That's wrong. It's right here, black and white. You can't do that. And it's almost like you immediately understand it. Like Aquarius is quite. They stereotypically, Aquarians are pretty smart. Stereotypically, and it's kind of. I feel like you're getting it. You're just kind of like, well, I can't even argue with that. I'm in another place. These are their rules. It's kind of like me going into that. Like I realized, I learned that in high school. Ignorance of a law does not exempt you from a law. It just doesn't. And then me seeing that rule, like I didn't get pulled over for it. They didn't tell me till later. I didn't find out till a long time later. I don't even think anybody I don't even know, maybe somebody in the car didn't know. I don't know. It was somebody else in my family that told me later. Anyway, but still, it's kind of like once you get pulled over for it and you're like, it's like me realizing that, well, like, oh, I can't even fight that. I know that. Like, I understand, like, I was ignorant to it, but it doesn't exempt me from it. And it's kind of like you're there. You're like, oh, I mean, okay. I like, you get it. You get it. It doesn't really seem fair, but you're also kind of like, why didn't somebody tell me? Like, if people knew this was happening, why didn't they tell me? And the Six of Swords, is that the Six of... Yeah, it is. It's kind of like you're not happy with it, but you're owning it with the King of Coins. You're fully owning it. But it's leaving a weird energy here. I think that's what this reading is about, because I'm getting like you're owning it, you're moving on from it. You're not really causing any upset about it. Because it's that moment. You're like, well, it happened now. Now I know. Now I know. It seems to change. It seems to color your perception of this other person too, because you're kind of like, if you knew that wasn't right and you knew I was headed for a brick wall, why didn't you tell me there was a brick wall in front of me? Like it's very dark outside and I'm heading towards a brick wall and you knew it was there and you clearly knew I didn't. Like, and to you it's like they clearly knew I didn't know it was there, but to them they're like, well, I was dropping you hints about it. There's a brick wall. Tell me there's a brick wall. Like, not for nothing. I'm just a little annoyed with it. Like, don't drop me hints that there's a brick wall. Say there's a brick wall. I'm just saying. Gratitude comes in here, which is very interesting. For whatever reason, you don't want to be at odds with this person. It's almost like you can't afford to be, for whatever reason. So you're trying to, like, work this out, is what I'm getting. Gratitude between the two of you, like, you have to work along with this person. For whatever reason, you're like, I can't have an issue between us. We have to work this out. I have to find a way to get to peace with this. And you got the Three of Cups with the Empress. They seem to come forward and tell you honestly what was going on and what they were trying to do. They were trying to, like, let you know. They were trying to drop hints. It still aggravates me, but I feel like at this point you're just kind of like, you're aggravated with it, but you're kind of like, not helping my situation. Okay. You're kind of like taking this in too, is like, okay, so when it really matters, we drop hints. All right, I guess so. I guess that's what happens. The wheel's gonna fall off the car. I'll drop a hint about it. All right, I guess. Instead of saying the wheel's about to fall off the car, instead of just being flat out obvious, we're just gonna, there might be some nuts and bolts missing over there. Whatever. It's fine. I'm annoyed. I'm like, I'm feeling it. I'm just kind of like, really? Like, come on. It's funny to me. It's not funny, but it's funny at the same time. Gotta lighten that mood a little bit. Okay. The Three of Cups, the Empress, they're coming forward. They're letting you know. You're taking it like information, though. Kind of like, okay, that's how we communicate with this type of stuff. All right. I'll work with it. I need to. That's how it is. I mean, you're looking at it that way. Like, okay, this is how it is, and I need to just make it so I can work with it. I just need to work with it. And if that's how it is, then that's how it is. arguing about it or trying to, like, you're almost kind of like not willing to go there in the sense of like, I don't believe I can change this person's way of moving forward. I don't feel like I can change how they handle these type of things. So instead of wasting my effort with that, I'm just going to try to absorb it and just be like, all right, remember when this person starts dropping hints, I need to look in between the lines and maybe hopefully point blank ask them like see if they can do that. We're going to try that later. Like when I think they're dropping a hint, I'll just go point blank, like, what are you dropping a hint about? What are you trying to clue me in about? What am I supposed to ask you? Because it seems like they're also letting you know like what they expected you to do when they were dropping hints. There's a release here on their side. I feel like they're just kind of moving on from the situation, kind of like that's your issue, not their issue. That's how they're looking at it. Like, that's your issue, Aquarius. That's not mine. So we talked it out. We're done, and I'm moving on because I didn't do anything wrong. I'm not saying anybody did anything wrong either. By the way, I'm not pointing any fingers. I'm just, they handled it, and they feel like they handled it the way they needed to handle it. That's how they feel, and they're letting it go. They're relinquishing any responsibility to it. They truly feel like that's correct on their part. So we're not pointing fingers at anybody. I'm not trying to do that. You on the other side have the Will and the Emperor, which is the companion card to the Empress. You're like, got message, understand message. This is how I need to handle this. I need to look. This is how this situation goes. It's about the rules of the situation. And it's probably even beyond the actual situation and finding out, like for me, it's like not just finding out, hey, nobody told me that was the rule even though I was there, and they could have, hopefully. But it's me realizing I need to be more proactive and just try to get into it, to try to control it more, try to see between the lines more. See the person I'm dealing with a little closer, like how they view things and how they view things in their importance, and the way I view things and how I view things in their importance may be different. And it's good to know that now before things get more serious, that there is a difference of opinion about what's important and what's not important, or how important things are, like where it ranks on the scale of importance. I may rank it way up here on the scale of importance. That same situation, they may rank it down here. And it's just you getting to know this person a little more and like how I need to handle this. And like being more cautious how you handle things. And learning by example too. I feel like this is another thing you're doing. Kind of like from here forward, I know how I like to handle things, but I'm going to watch people who are similar to me and see what they're actually getting away with and what they're not getting away with. I don't know why we want to put it that way, but there you go. Kind of like I like to handle things with a little bit more flavor. This might be a situation where I might not get away with that for some reason. So I'm going to kind of gravitate around people who are similar to me, who have been here for a while, and I'm going to watch how do they handle this situation, how do they handle that situation. And I'm going to see if I can kind of cozy up to them a little bit and find out why do they handle it this way? Why do they handle it that way? People who are similar, so you can see like, okay, they handle it differently, and this isn't what I would expect them to do, but they did that. Now I'm going to try to find out why they did that. Realizing this is a situation you need to do that in. It's like finding like those hidden... It's kind of like somebody else who's already gone through the minefield and asking them, you know, I noticed you go around that bush instead of through that bush. Why do you do that? Because I noticed you went through those 3 bushes, you just walked right through them, but this 4th bush, you went around it. Is there something there, or what's the deal? Well, there's a snake in that bush. There is. Yes, there is. Oh, okay. Didn't know that. And you're like, but it's a minefield. So yeah, there's not a mine there, because like it's a bush. You can't hide a mine under a bush, but there's a snake in that bush, so we don't go through that bush. Understood. Like, that's how you're kind of finding the booby traps in the situation. You're realizing there are booby traps for one, and you're finding people who you can relate to and how they're dealing with these booby traps. I hope that makes sense. Alright, I'm going to shut this down here. Hope that helps. Thank you for watching. If you'd like a direct reading from me, shoot me an email, jamesforastral@gmail.com. That's James the number 4, astral@gmail.com. Thank you.